This morning I'm going to just unpack some vision statements and some things for us. We've promised that when I first came here, I said that I would take 3 months or so to walk around the walls of the church, a bit like Nehemiah did. And I talked about how that we would just be looking at various things and just taking an overview, and I've done that. And as part of that process, I spoke with the church leadership team, who at that time were known as the church board. More of that next week. But we chatted, and one of the things that I said was really important to me is that we discover what our values are. See, if we have, I could have come and joined this church 1st September and just imposed my own set of values and just said, this is where we're going to go and this is what we're going to do. But actually, that would create no longevity of vision here. It would create little fruit of vision here, because everything that would be said and done in the church would be dependent on my gifts. And I don't think that's the way we should operate. And so I said to the oversight, just giving you some of our journey thus far, I said to the oversight, what are our values? They came back and said, this is the things that we value. And another word for value could be conviction. What is the things that are non-negotiable in our life? You discover an example of conviction in the Old Testament in the book of Joshua, chapter 14, verses 6 to 12, but especially verses 10 to 12, where Caleb goes to Joshua and asks for the hill country that had been promised to him. And I have a sense in my spirit that there is a hill country that is promised to this church that we have yet to fully conquer and inhabit. And so this is what Caleb says. Now just then, as the Lord promised, he kept me alive for 45 years since the time he said to Moses, while Israel moved about in the desert. So here I am today, 85 years old. I'm still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there and their cities were large and fortified, but with the Lord helping me, I will drive them out. Wow, 85. It's not bad, is it? See, Caleb was a man of conviction, not a man of convenience. And we're all called to be people of conviction, not a people of convenience. And so he wandered through the desert for 40 years through no fault of his own, but his conviction kept him going. And what we need to do, and one of the things I chatted about with our oversight team, our leadership, was to say to them, what are our values? They came back, we threw things around, and some of these were, you would expect in a church, the importance of the preached word, the importance of worship, the importance of the family and our role in the community and evangelism and all these kind of things were valued. So what I said to them was, well, I'll go away now that I know what is important to this fellowship. It's all part of the walking the walls process, you understand. I went away and I said what's important to the fellowship, and then I came back and I said what we need to do is take all of that, and there were reams of paper all over the place, and to take that and condense that and to make it something that is coherent, palatable, because the word says that we need to write down our vision but make it clear. It's no good having something that's overly complicated, and many of you maybe will have waited with bated breath as to what's going to be shared and what's going to be said, and it's a little bit, I guess, like the movie Dirty Dancing for me. Let me explain that. You remember Dirty Dancing, Patrick Swayze and Jennifer What's-Her-Face? And when that came out, we were living overseas, and there was great expectation. In fact, everyone was talking about it. You must go and see Dirty Dancing. Best film ever, Dirty Dancing. Oh, I've got to see Dirty Dancing. Everywhere we went, have you seen Dirty Dancing? Oh, no, I haven't seen Dirty Dancing. Have you seen? I mean, I thought it sounded rude, so I said, I'm not sure I'm going to go and watch Dirty Dancing, you know. I struggle with Strictly now, you know, so I basically, you know. So I said to them, anyway, we conceded, and Barbie was really excited. We're going to see Dirty Dancing. We went to the drive-in movie theaters as we did back then, and Barbie was enthralled by, you know, Swayze and Jennifer What's-Her-Face and the swinging of hips and everything. And I've never spent 90 minutes of such boredom in my entire life. And the reason for that was, it's not particularly because of the style of the movie or anything else. The expectation that I had built up around it didn't match the actual sense of what the film was about. And so this morning, you might have really high expectations. There's going to be something really radical going to come out. What I'm going to share with you this morning is not such a seismic shift, but one or two things in the coming weeks will be. But we need a framework for us all to hear and understand. Now, before I go any further, just going to say that we will be posting notes on Facebook this afternoon with spelling mistakes. There are some. We will be making this available on the internet. We're aware that people in Discovery Kids and so on, there are DVDs as well. We want everyone to catch this up as quickly as possible. But also, you might be sitting saying, well, we're going to have the year's theme announced this morning. We're waiting for it. Yearly themes are okay. They're great, but I'm just not wired that way, I'm afraid. I tend to think in terms of seasons. And so I'm not actually going to set a yearly theme. Last year we did the Year of the Book, and that was easy, and we continue with that when I came, because you have more books in the Bible than we had weeks. So that was quite an easy theme to carry on. But I don't want us to fall into a potential trap. I'm not saying it's happened in the past, but I see it as a potential trap where we say this is our theme for the year, and by July we can't remember what it is. Or we say we're going to do something around the Olympics as a yearly theme. By August, the Olympics is over, and this kind of thing. I think God works in seasons. At the moment, we've been in a season of settling in and getting to know some of you, so now you know what you've got. Do remember, we are the answer to the prayers you prayed. Yeah, you'll pray carefully. But I believe in seasons, and seasons for me can be longer or shorter than a year. We've been in a season of settling in. We're now in a season of moving into some deliberate transitional change. Seasons for me speak of not getting stuck, because you very rarely remain in winter all your life in the natural, and so we don't do that in the spiritual. The seasons come and change. A season speaks of constant movement and transition. A season tells me we need to hear what God's saying for us now, not just what he might be saying for us. So there's a bit more fluidity about that. So if you're disappointed that we're not going to have an annual theme, nothing I can do about that, because I'm not. So in the nicest possible way. But that's just the way I work and I think. Now, what I'm going to share with you today, and what we're going to do today is give you the headlines as quickly as we can. Bear in mind, we started the service late, so it'll be ending late. And we have warned Discovery Kids about that. We're going to share with you the headlines of the structure, and then over the next 5 weeks, we're going to unpack that a little bit more through the weeks, and then over the course of the next several months, I'll be taking each of those themes and really expounding on them. And by the end of the year, your ears will be bleeding with this new sense of vision and purpose. But I think it's worth us doing that. So are we okay? So one of the things we've done is we've looked at our vision statement and our mission statement. Now, for me, in simplest terms, a vision statement is our aspirational goal of what we're here for. Our mission statement is how we're going to do it. Does that make sense? So we want to do this by doing that. We want to become this by doing that. And so what we've done is put a couple of things together for you. A new vision statement for the church is very simple. You might not think that it would take long to come up with promoting faith, love, and hope for all. But I think as a term, that's probably what we're about. In actual fact, it took myself and the leaders 3 months or so to really get this fine-tuned. This is not just sucked from my thumb on a Sunday morning or it sounds good. And how do we promote faith, love, and hope for all? We are going to do that by serving God in our world. Serving God in our world. That will become our strapline, if you like those kind of phrases. That will appear on the internet, on our website, as we revamp the website. That's what we're going to be about. If people say, why do you go to Elim? Well, it's because we serve God in our world. Now, what does our world mean? Well, our world means this planet, but our world also means the place where you and I go. I live in a different world to most of you. I live in a world that is taken up with Christians and probably 20% non-Christians. You live in the world that's taken up probably with 80% non-Christians and 20% Christians. Because that's your world. There's your circle of influences. And we want to serve God in those relationships and around those places.